Alright, so we will be doing question 15.4. So 15.4 is about the Bertrand competition where firms are competing over prices in order to maximize the profit. Okay, so the question giving you two firms in which firm 1 got the marginal cost C1 equal to 10 and firm 2 got a marginal cost C2 equal to 8. And the question also giving you a demand function where Q equal to 500 minus 20p, right? So where P is the price in the market and Q is the quantity in the market. Part A of the question asking you to find the Nash equilibrium price that the two firms is going to charge in the market during by the Bertrand competition. So they are choosing the prices simultaneously, and the question asking you to find the Nash equilibrium price in the market. Alright, so first of all, Nash equilibrium is the equilibrium in which no firm has any incentive to deviate. So basically, they are choosing their best response given the strategy chosen by the other firm. So in the Nash equilibrium, that is going to be the stable equilibrium from which no one got any incentive to deviate. Alright, so we try to find that Nash equilibrium price in this case. Now, if two firms are setting prices simultaneously, so they will try to set the price such that their profit is maximized. Okay, so so I'll say P1 is going to be the price set by firm 1. Okay, and P2 is going to be the price set by firm 2. Right, so the two firms are going to set their prices simultaneously. Now remember, they try to maximize the profit. So the firm will never try to set the price below, to set the price below their marginal cost. Okay, because by doing that, they will incur a negative profit. So they rather just not selling anything to the market and get zero than selling at a price such that they get a negative profit. Okay, so the first thing we know that is so the firm 1 will never set P1 smaller than C1, and P2 is never going to be smaller than C2 because the firm will never want to get a negative profit. Alright, so how the firm is going to set their price. Now if firm 1 tries to set a price bigger than C1, which is bigger than 10, to get some profit, is that going to be the equilibrium? What the firm is going to do? Okay, so this is the first case where okay, so where the firm set the price bigger than 10. Now firm 2 will have an incentive to undercut the price because the marginal cost of firm 2 is 8, so firm 2 can still set the price which is lower than 10 to capture the whole market and get some profit. Okay, so if firm 1 set the price bigger than 10, firm 2 will have incentive to undercut. Okay, to undercut the price and set their P2 a little bit smaller than P1. Okay, so just a little bit smaller than P1, and they will be able to capture the whole market. Okay, so that's a little bit smaller than whatever firm 1 is charging. Alright, so now seeing that, firm 1 know that if I set the price bigger than 10, firm 2 is going to undercut me and they're going to set a little bit lower price. So how about I undercut them and I'll set my price a little bit lower. So firm 1 seeing that, so the strategy for firm 1, alright, so it's firm 1 strategy again is to undercut firm 2. So they're going to set their P1 a little bit smaller than P2, whatever the price that firm 2 was setting before. Now they will keep doing that. So firm 2 again will try to undercut firm 1 in order to capture the whole market. So they will keep doing that up to the point where the price P1 is equal to 10. Okay. Now, why firm 1 is stopping at this point? Like I said before, firm 1 wouldn't want to set the price smaller than 10 because they will be incurring a negative profit. Okay, So firm 1 will stop. So this is where firm 1 stops. Alright, so firm 1 will say, okay, I'll set my price equal to 10. Now what firm 2 is going to do? Alright, now the marginal cost of firm 2 is 8. Now if firm 2, seeing that firm 1 is setting the price at 10, firm 2 will be saying, okay, if I charge a very little bit lower price, I will be able to capture the whole market because my marginal cost is still lower than the price, and I know that firm 1 won't be setting their price below 10 because that will give them a negative profit. Okay, so my strategy, so the strategy for firm 2, now okay, so the normal case where firm 2 is going to set a little bit lower price. Now firm 2 strategy is to set P2 a little bit smaller than 10. Okay, so it's very little smaller than 10. So it's like, for example, 9.99, something like that. So long as it's smaller than 10, firm 2 will be able to capture the whole market. And since the price is still bigger than the marginal cost, the firm is making the profit. Alright, so and firm 1 will have no incentive to undercut firm 2. And the reason is because firm 1 wouldn't want to set the price smaller than 10. Okay, so firm 1 now will have no incentive to undercut. Okay, to undercut firm 2. Alright, so here, and to undercut firm 2 because firm 1 doesn't want to get a negative profit. Okay, because P1 cannot be smaller than 10. Okay, alright, so this is going to be the Nash equilibrium where no firms will have any incentive to deviate. So firm 1 will just so firm 2 will just set the price which is a little bit smaller than 10, and firm 1 will have no incentive to undercut, so firm 1 will just standing there. So firm 1 is not going to do anything, and firm 2 will just set the price and capture the whole market. Okay, now in this case, for the ease of computation, the question telling you that assume if the two firms are charging the same price, whoever got a lower cost is going to supply the whole market. So with that assumption, then instead of setting the price a little bit smaller than 10, okay, it's for the simple to avoid a technical problem. So it's for like simple calculation. The question assumes that if firm 2 is setting the price equal to 10, it still be able to capture the whole market, and that is going to be the Nash equilibrium. Okay, now for simple calculation, the question telling you that assumes if P2 is equal to 10, whoever firm 2 will still be able to capture the whole market and sell to the market, because if firm 1 is charging the same price with firm 2, then whoever got a lower cost will be able to supply to the market. Okay, so in this case, firm 2 supplies to the market, and firm 1 is just not supplying anything. Okay, firm 1 they're not. Now, okay, again, why this the equilibrium? So you would just basically asking yourself, is there any firm which has any incentive to deviate from this? Now for firm 1 doesn't want to go to deviate from this, to charge a different price. Okay, by charging a higher price, it will not get any market, so it's the same thing. Okay, so it doesn't have any incentive to charge a higher price. Now does it have any incentive to charge a lower price? No, because the firm doesn't want to make a negative profit. So firm 1 doesn't have any incentive to charge a lower price either. Okay, so P1 equal to 10 is going to be the equilibrium for firm 1. Now how about firm 2? Does firm 2 have any incentive to charge a higher price? No, if firm 2 charging a higher price than 10 and firm 1 is charging 10, firm 1 will be able to capture the whole market and firm 2 will get nothing. Okay, so firm 2 doesn't have any incentive to charge a higher price than this. Now, does it have any incentive to charge a lower price than this? No. Okay, now I'm charging 10, I'll capture the whole market, I'll supply the whole market already, so I don't need to lower my price. Okay, so I have no incentive to lower the price and lower my profit, and that doesn't give me any extra market, because by charging the price at 10, I already capture the whole market. Okay, so firm 2 doesn't have any incentive to charge a higher price either, so that's the reason why P1 equal to P2 equal to 10 is going to be the equilibrium. Alright, so part B. Okay, so I'll just right, so the Nash equilibrium is where P equal to 10 and firm 2 will supply to the whole market. Okay, and firm 2 capture the entire market. Right, so that is the equilibrium. Okay, part B, compute the firm's output, profit, and the market output. Alright, so firm's output, again, so just what we did in part A already, firm 1 output is going to be equal to Q1 equal to 0. Okay, firm 1 doesn't produce anything, doesn't supply anything to the market, so Q1 equal to 0. Now firm 2's output. Alright, so now firm 2 is the only firm that's supplying to the market, so it will be serving the whole market at the price equal to 10. Now using a demand function, we know that so Q2 is going to be equal to big Q, because whatever firm 2 is supplying is going to be the total quantity supply in the market. And at the price equal to 10, using a demand function, we will be able to find the total demand in the market, which is 300, and that is going to be the quantity that firm 2 is going to supply to the market. Okay, and the total market output. Right, so total market output is going to be just the big Q, and it's just equal to Q2 because Q1 equal to 0, and that's going to be equal to 300. Okay, now what is firm profit? Alright, so firm profit. Now for firm 1, it doesn't sell anything, so its profit for firm 1 just equal to 0. Now the profit for firm 2 will be equal to the price that firm 2 is charging minus the marginal cost of firm 2, which is basically equal to the average cost as well in this case, multiplied by the quantity supplied by firm 2. Right, so we got P2 equal to 10, marginal cost equal to 8, and the quantity supplied to the market equal to 300, and that will give the firm $600 for the profit. Alright, part C, is the total welfare maximized in the Nash equilibrium? If not, try to find an outcome that will maximize the total welfare and compute the deadweight loss. Alright, so so we know that the equilibrium, okay, the Nash equilibrium is where firm 2 is supplying to the market. Okay, so firm 2 is capturing the entire market and charging the price equal to 10, which is bigger than the marginal cost of firm 2, which is 8. Alright, so whenever the firm is charging a higher price than its marginal cost or its cost of production, then we know that the market is not efficient, and the total welfare in the market is not maximized. Okay, so in this case we know that the price the firm is charging is bigger than its marginal cost, so we know that the firm 2 is not producing at an efficient level, and therefore total welfare in the market is not maximized. Okay. Alright, so what is going to be the point at which the what is the point at which total welfare is going to be maximized? Okay. So like I said before, whenever the firm charging a higher price than its cost of production, welfare is not maximized and the firm is not reducing at an efficient level. So efficient level at which total welfare is maximized. Okay, so welfare is max. Is the point at which the price the firm is going to charge is going to be equal to the cost of production of the firm. Okay, and it's going to be equal to H. Alright, so if firm 2 is charging, so if firm 2 lower the price up to the point where the price equals to the marginal cost and equal to H, that is going to be the efficient level, and that is going to be the point where total welfare is going to be maximized. Alright, so we just try to calculate the total welfare in each of the case, in the Nash equilibrium case and in the efficient case, and we compare the deadweight loss. Okay, and we try to find the deadweight loss by comparing the welfare in each of the case. Alright, so we find total welfare in the Nash equilibrium case first. Alright, so in the Nash equilibrium, total welfare is going to be equal to the consumer surplus plus the producer surplus. So I'll put the N here to indicate this is the consumer surplus and producer surplus in the Nash equilibrium. Okay, so what is going to be consumer surplus and the producer surplus? Now, an easiest way to see is to draw a graph, and that will make it a lot easier to follow. So I'll draw a graph here. Alright, so I got on a horizontal it's going to be Q, alright, and on a vertical it's going to be dollar. So first of all, I will have my demand function Q equal to 500 minus 20p. So I'll get something like this. Okay, so my demand function is Q equal to 500 minus 20p. So if I rearrange this, I'll get P equal to 500 minus Q on 20, and that will just give me 25 minus 1 on 20Q. Alright, so I know that vertical intercept is going to be 25 and the slope is going to be equal to negative 1 on 20. Alright, so horizontal intercept will be 500. Okay, so this is my market demand. Now, how do I find the consumer surplus and the producer surplus in the case of Nash equilibrium? So I know that in the case of Nash equilibrium, the firm is charging the price equal to 10. So I'll say 10 is somewhere, for example, here. Okay, so I'll say this is the, alright. So this is the price in Nash equilibrium, and it's going to be equal to 10. Alright, so the marginal cost for the firm is going to be equal to 8. So I'll say it's for somewhere here, for example. Alright, so this is the marginal cost for firm 2, which is equal to 8. Alright, so in the first case, where in the Nash equilibrium, when the price equal to 10, the firm will be supplying 300 to the market. Okay, so this is here. Alright, so what is the consumer surplus and the producer surplus? Now, consumer surplus. Okay, so note consumer surplus is the area below the demand curve, okay, and above the price that the consumer will have to pay to the firm, okay, up to the quantity, okay, up to the quantity that they are buying from the market. All right, so that is the consumer surplus. What is the producer surplus? So producer surplus is the area below the price and above the marginal cost, okay, and also up to the quantity that the firm is selling to the market. All right, so knowing that, we find the consumer surplus first. So this is the price that the consumer is paying to the firm. This is the demand curve. So consumer surplus is the area below a demand curve above the price. So it's going to be the area that I will be shaded. Okay, so I will shade the area by the yellow color. So this is going to be the consumer surplus, okay, which is basically the area below the demand curve and above the price that the consumer have to pay to the firm up to the quantity that they are buying from the firm, which is the yellow area that I am shading right now, okay. Right, so it's going to be the area like this. Good. Okay, so this is the consumer surplus in the Nash equilibrium case. Alright, what is the producer surplus in the Nash equilibrium case? Again, producer surplus is the area below the price, which is 10 over here, and above the marginal cost, which is 8, up to the quantity that the firm is selling to the market, which is QN equal to 300 over here. Okay. So producer surplus, I will highlight by the blue area. It's going to be the rectangle below the triangle for the consumer surplus. It's going to be the area here. Okay, that's good. All right, and this is the producer surplus in the Nash equilibrium case. All right. So the summation of the consumer surplus and the producer surplus will give you the total welfare in the market. So we will try to get the value for them. Alright, so total welfare in the case of Nash equilibrium equal to consumer surplus plus the producer surplus. Now consumer surplus is the yellow triangle over here, and to calculate the area, we just have to take half of the vertical multiplied by the horizontal. So now vertical is the difference between 25 and the price, which is 10. Okay, and horizontal is just the quantity that the consumer is buying from the firm, which is 300. Okay. Okay, so that's done for the consumer surplus. Now the producer surplus is going to be the rectangle here. So going to be the horizontal multiplied by the vertical. Now vertical is the difference between the price and the marginal cost. So we're going to be 10 minus 8 and multiplied by the quantity that the firm is selling to the market, which is 300. Alright, so we add them up, we will get that equal to, so I have 15, 300, that gives you 2200 to 20. Okay, so this will give you 2250 plus 600. Okay, which is the profit for the firm, and that will just give you 2850. Okay, so that is total welfare in the Nash equilibrium case. Now we do very similar thing for the efficient case. Okay, that is the case where the firm is producing at the point where the price equal to the marginal cost and equal to 8. Alright, so if that is the case, so if firm 2 is charging the price equal to 8, what is going to be the quantity supplied to the market? So using the demand function, you get Q equal to 500 minus 20 multiplied by P, and P is equal to 8. So by charging the price equal to 8, the firm will be able to sell 340 units to the market. Okay, and that is going to be the quantity in the market. Okay. Alright, so we try to find again consumer surplus and producer surplus in this case to find total welfare. Okay, so again, total welfare, I'll put the star here to indicate this is the efficient amount equal to consumer surplus star plus producer surplus star. Okay, alright, so we're back to the case here. Now, what is the consumer surplus and producer surplus? If the price equal to marginal cost equal to 8, this is going to be the price. Now this is going to be the quantity supplied to the market. So say Q star equal 340. Okay. So again, consumer surplus is going to be the area below demand curve above the price up to the quantity the consumer is buying from the market. So it's going to be the area below demand curve. This is the price and this is the quantity. Okay, so it's going to be the whole big triangle. Okay, alright, so that is the producer surplus, that is the consumer surplus in the efficient case. Now what is the producer surplus? Since the price equal to the marginal cost already, so there isn't any area in between. Okay, so there isn't any area below the price and above the marginal cost because the price is equal to the marginal cost already. So the producer surplus in this case is equal to 0. Okay, because there isn't any area between the price and the marginal cost. Alright, so the consumer surplus efficient is going to be the big triangle, so going to be equal to half of the vertical multiplied by the horizontal. Now vertical is the difference between 25 and the price, which is 8. And horizontal is the total quantity the consumer is buying from the firm, which is Q star. Okay, so Q star, which is 340. Alright, so producer surplus is 0, just like what I mentioned earlier. Okay, so the total welfare in the market is going to be equal to $28.90. Alright, so if you compare the total welfare in the efficient case to the total welfare in the Nash equilibrium, you can see that total welfare here is bigger than the total welfare in the Nash equilibrium. Okay, so the deadweight loss resulted from the Nash equilibrium. So deadweight loss from the Nash equilibrium equal to total welfare in efficient case minus total welfare in Nash equilibrium, and it's going to be equal to this minus 28.50, and it's going to be equal to 40. Okay, so now if you're looking at the graph, in visually that 40 is going to be a little triangle over here. Okay, so I'll highlight it by the red, by the pink color. Alright, so the red pink color over here is going to be okay, I just want to use smaller highlighter. Alright, so the very pink area there is not really good, but okay, so pink area is the deadweight loss, and that is going to be equal to 40. Okay, so it's very little triangle at the bottom. Sorry, the very little triangle over here, either that weight loss.